Welcome to In Focus. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about how to get ready for your scans, how to take your analog pictures from your shoebox, prints, slides, and negatives, and digitize them so we can put them into the computer. So first of all, before we start, one of the most important things that we have a few different tools, but one of the most important things that I use are the gloves, because if I get finger marks on my negatives or slides, even on my prints, it's going to take a lot longer in post to get rid of that kind of stuff. The other tools that I use are these cute little rocket blasters. They come in a couple of different sizes, and they're just simply used by just pushing on them, and they'll come out with a nice blow of air. Not as strong as what you'd get out of a canned air. These here are aerosol canned air, and these are wonderful. They give a really strong blast. Make sure to hold them right side up, because if you put them upside down, it'll come out as liquid. And if liquid gets on your negatives and your slides, it's going to take a little while to clean those up. So make sure to do that. The other thing that I have is PEC 12 from Photographic Solutions. And this is a cleaner that we use for the emulsion of the film. So we can act as safe enough to use it on the emulsion of the film. And with the PEC 12, we also have what's called the PEC pads. These are the PEC pads. And they are like non-abrasive, really nice, soft cloth that you can do a really small movements onto your film. So if you have film and you want to do it small on there, you put a little bit of dap of liquid, PEC 12 goes right on here, and then you go down and you try to clean off your negatives and your slides. So that's what this is. That is how I get ready for my scans. Now that we're ready to put the film into the scanner, we need to talk about the holders. This scanner happens to be the V550 from Epson, and it has some holders here that will hold the film. Inside these four, you'll be able to put the slides onto the glass, and on the other side, you'll have the negatives that are held in as well. So that's how that works right there in the 35mm holder. It also comes with a second holder, which is for medium format or 120 film. And this is also a holder for that film. Those are the two different things it comes with. Now, very important, you'll notice that on the holder itself, it'll have a letter, and the letter corresponds to the letters on the scanner. So when you put them down, you'll notice that it will actually seat into the actual scanner, so now it doesn't move around at all. It stays right there. It stays right in the center of the scanner. Now, also, what's important here, I'm actually going to use 35mm. When we do that, we want to make sure we put on our gloves. And this is going to be fun because when you put gloves on both sides, it's super hard to take the film out of the holders. I'm going to show you right here. If you had gloves on both sides, you're kind of having a hard time. So it's nice to keep one hand, which you can use for pulling the negatives out, for example, out of these holders. Make sure to grab it by the corner and not onto the film. So now we hold like this here, and now we're ready to put it into the holder itself. Now, when you look at this particular film, you'll notice that there's little numbers on it. And this happens to be Kodak film, so you'll have Kodak right there, and it says Kodak, and this happens to be Kodak Ektar. And so we're going to go like this here, and now I'll be able to read it correctly. If you notice on the holder itself, we have the holder right here. Notice that you want to be upside down. That's what it says right here. It says upside down. 1 through 6 is upside down. And you want to make sure your numbers are upside down as well. The film has two sides to it. There's a glossy side on the negative, and then there is the matte side. The matte side is your emulsion side. The glossy side is the film base. And it wants to be emulsion side up. So I'm going to undo this here really quick. I'm going to put this film, only holding it on the sides. I'm going to put that into my holder, and I'm going to click it down. Let's see here. There we go. Now you'll notice that the film is in the holder right here. That's how the film is. It's sitting in there. Now you'll notice that I am using, and it says right here on the bottom of the holder, it says A, which means I'm going to use the A side. So I put A on the scanner, and it fits into the little click, and it clicks in right there. And I am now ready to scan a negative. Let me show you how the slides are done. We're going to go like this here. We take this off here. And I'm going to take the slide out just using one glove because slides have edges around them. I'm going to put my holder into the scanner itself. And you'll notice that the holder is C. So I go to the C side right here. And on the actual slide itself, it says, on most slides, it says, this side Chewart screen. And you'll notice also that there's a film base here, and a matte side has the emulsion side. And this is again upside down. So I put in emulsion side up and film base down, the glossy side down. I'm going to do a couple more here. And I'm looking at it right now, and I can see that this is the emulsion side. And there you go. That's how that works. Actually, that was upside down. There we go. The lighting in here. That's perfect. Now we got that one. The third one. And I put all these four in. Now, it doesn't make a difference if you're putting them vertically or horizontally. It just depends on what they are, because in software, when we scan them in, we'll be able to rotate them around clockwise or counterclockwise till we get exactly the right orientation. So that's how that works. Now we're ready to scan prints. And how that is done is we bring in this little lid here that's going to go in. It's going to cover up our transparency module, or the light that's in the lid. And we're going to go like this, and we're going to pull that in there. This now makes it really nice, so they'll hold the prints in place. Very important that we put on our gloves, because the prints are really hard to grab without having, they're really hard to grab on the edge, because they don't, unlike film, they don't have the sprocket holes or the slide mount around them. So here's the print right here. Now you'll notice that I have different kinds of prints, and prints come in all different sizes. And so it's very important that when you scan your prints, that you try to get the similar size as you put them on the flatbed itself. And the reason being is that when you scan them, the resolution is very important. So if you have a small stamp, for example, you're scanning a stamp and an 8x10 at the same time, and you're doing it at, for example, 600 dpi, the 8x10 file is going to look beautiful, and the stamp is going to not look so good. So it's very important to use the same size when you do that. So here we go. We got 4 different prints here, about the same size, and we're going to put these upside down onto the scanning bed. So this is how it goes right there. Now what happens is, like right there, like this here. Now we're ready to scan. We put the lid down like this here, and then we go into the scanning software. We do a preview. We select the size of file that we want by choosing the DPI, and then we're ready to scan. But definitely do a preview first. We'll show you that later in software, how all this stuff is done. There is one more tip, and that is, if you're scanning film and you are not using the holder, because sometimes you'll have film that doesn't fit in the holder. It could be larger film or smaller film. It actually works if you just lay it onto the film bed itself, onto the glass. And it'll actually do a really good scan. Now what's going to happen is, and this is where we get a lot of calls, people call up and says, I'm getting an error on my scanner. And if you notice something on the holder themselves, if you look at the holder itself, you will notice that there is a little cutout. So when I put down the holder itself to scan some 35mm negatives, you'll notice that there is a little bit of a gap here where the light and the sensor meets up and they calibrate, so they make sure that they're scanning the right thing. And a lot of people, what they'll do is that they'll fill the scanner up. This happens to be medium format film, but they come in larger sizes as well, or glass plates for that matter. And they'll lay it straight onto the scanning bed, and you'll notice that right now I'm covering up that little calibration area. And if I were to close it down and try to scan right now, it'll come and say error. And you'll call the store and it says, you know, it doesn't work anymore. My scanner doesn't work. And all it is the fact that there's not enough gap for it to calibrate. So just move it a little bit away from the very top, and it has room to do that. So that's a little tip that we have that actually will help you save some time pulling out your hair, wondering what is going on. For more tips on in focus, subscribe to the channel, and then learn more about what we can do with scanner and all these other kind of photographic things that we have. In Focus is going to be a channel that's going to be wonderful, filled with a bunch of great tutorials and new products and things that are coming out in our industry that's going to be really fun to show you. Thank you.